everyone. We have a game with the white pieces against MMG 86, rated 1331. And he gives us the center. We take the center. He's not going to climb to 2000 doing this. Even though it is playable, you can attack the center later, yada yada. I predict he will not reach it anytime soon. As long as he stays doing this stuff. So he develops and attacks a pawn. We develop and defend a pawn. He now puts a pawn in, challenges the center ever so slightly. We develop a minor piece towards the center. White's position looks great. He creates a small pawn center, which blocks in his dark square bishop. And we're prepared to castle. Works on a nice file because we pushed our f-pawn. Our rook already has scope. It looks a lot nicer than if our pawn was on f2. That's why when people play weird moves, you should really be aggressive with the center. He develops the knight. He's trying to play in this modern, hypermodern, fashion. But it's not recommended. I'm going to develop my knight, encourage the pawn push, and I can relocate my knight. He doesn't do it. He tries to place his knight on c4, which makes some sense. We could dominate the knight with b3, which is interesting, and then fianchetto, which aims at his king, which is nice. It is quite nice. It's not necessary, however. Also, you can play it once he gets here, just so he has to waste time. So let's do something useful. Let's find a different move. Queen e2 takes away the retreat square from that knight. Queen e1 is interesting. Let's go queen e1 so we could transfer it, and it's also aligned with the king. So maybe these pawn pushes are more interesting now. So he plays c6, which blocks his own bishop. Weakens the dark squares. Not a good move. So f5 takes. He blocks with a minor piece. We go here. I kind of want to wait a little more. A4 looks very possible. Or you could just focus on the king side. Sometimes I really just like throwing in moves like a4, a5 and then continuing. Because it looks... I guess once he takes, I don't want to lure my knight away from the center though. So let's not do that. I guess we can keep developing. I kind of want to improve my queen though. So let's go here, and this prevents his bishop from moving for the time being. It's a strong developing move and a waiting move at the same time. I have another developed waiting move, bishop d2, and then I can double rook. So these are some simple ideas. He develops a piece, looks at the center. Fine. I want to see where he commits his king. Bishop e3 is interesting because it aligns this way. I'm not sure that it matters though. I don't really feel like calculating at every turn all of these different pushes and push past and captures. It's just so much mental energy I don't feel like using. So what's the simplest way to continue? Again, push takes. It's possible, but not necessary. Let's just do this simple developing move. Let's stick with the simple ideas we were mentioning before. Maybe now knight c4, hunting the bishop. But no, he pushes past. So whenever they push past, it makes your life a lot easier, because what happens is they fill that central hole with a pawn, which means they can never put a piece there anymore. So now I can easily calculate something like pushing past, because there's nothing to calculate. The capture's not an option anymore because he pushed, and he can't ever ignore and hop stuff in. Like if it was my turn and I push, he can ignore me, move his knight somewhere, and you have to calculate all this stuff. But now I push past and I have this French, advanced caro-kann structure that aims this way and gives me a nice attack, right? So he hops his knight in the center, which looks like a mistake because takes. So this hangs material. My bishop covers the central light squares, and he hops his knight into c4 now, which threatens nothing. I mean, nothing real. So if you go here, he might hit you with the pawn, and you might regret it. But if we go back, it may look ridiculous that we're undeveloping, but it's temporary. We're gonna, because the bishop dominates his knight here. Now we kick his knight. His knight can't go forward because it's dominated. It has to go back, and then you can move your bishop wherever you want it. So it's a temporary measure that says to black, bishops can triangulate, knights can't. You know, waste all the time you want with that knight. All pieces can triangulate except for knights and pawns. Because when a knight moves back, it has to go to the exact back square it came from, whereas a rook or bishop can... Oop. I don't know why my hand was on the mouse. I did not mean to click that. I was trying to point to something. Okay, so I just hung a pawn by mouse slip. Not the worst mouse slip in the world, I guess, but material's even. I did not... How did my finger even click? Okay, so I'm switching to my dominant hand, so no more misclicks. We could go here. He just goes back. So I kind of just want to blast open the center since his knight isn't threatening anything. Yeah, so I mean, if I was going to do that, I could have moved. I didn't need to move to begin with, right? I mouse flipped back to the original square. So I just gave him a bunch of free turns. So he just took. Intermezzo, but fancy. I don't really want to take, but I guess we'll take. His king's in the center, so it's not having a good day. So he opens up his bishop, which is what I figured he would do when we don't have the opportunity to push past successfully. So we should probably just develop. Let's bring our last piece in the game. We're now basically all on these four. Our bishop's here, but it's contributing. And we don't care about the pawn that he took. He takes another pawn. This guy loves pawns. So he takes another pawn. What are we going to do about that? I think we're just going to push e6 and say, there's a reason why you're supposed to castle. Let's try to teach him that reason, if we can. He goes f6. Bishop g6 check. Taking my bishop, takes with the queen, forces king up, check, forces king over. Please tell me there's a mate. I have two bishop checks. Let's go for the left one. He has to go here or here. I mean, I'm almost going to go for it no matter what, but what else do I have? This. He gets a pawn. I get a piece. He gets a rook. I go here. He gets another rook. I get a queen. I mean, that should be winning too. Also because this is hanging at the end. So both of these look winning. I mean, both of these look winning. I guess we'll go for this one for two reasons. One, I didn't actually calculate the mate till the end in the other line, and two, because this just looks deadly. Unless he takes with the king. I didn't consider that, but that can't be right, right? Oh, wait. Oh, I should have went for the other line, but he took this way, which gives me the rook. I gotta look at that after the game. That's funny. So now he can go here. Yeah, I definitely should have went for the other line. Do I have this, though? That's too fancy. Take his rook. Am I hanging anything? I don't think so. Okay. Does he have any queen checks? I don't think so. But maybe I take with the pawn. Maybe I take with the pawn. To give my king some breathing room. And just, I think it's better. Okay, so he attacks the bishop. We don't want to give him infiltration, so maybe we attack the queen first. He goes to b2, attacking our pawn. Okay, so let's attack the queen and coordinate with our queen with checkmate if he doesn't control that square. And he can't control that square. So that's checkmate, which I'm happy to see. But I'm very curious about some point in that game. The other line looked way more fun in my head. I should have gone bishop g6, but let's go through the game. So he lets us take the center. We do it. Development, center. Development, center. Castling, development. Development, center. What's the best move here? Oh, so you can just take advantage, a4. And when he takes, you take with the knight. And yeah, so you can include it at any point. I really wanted to. I don't know why I didn't, but I just kept looking at it. But we moved the queen, which is also one of the best moves. And now we're plus 2.3. And that's what happens when you play so poorly as black. Let's take this off. So we improve a piece towards the king side. And now it says blunder. But let's slow it down for a second. Firstly, we're still plus 1.2. Well, I'm just maintaining our advantage this whole time. They're saying it's a blunder because now that he put his knight here, we have this one opportunity to kick the knight. But in order to determine that this is better, you need to calculate all the knight jumps, knight hitting the queen, knight into the center, knight back. You have to calculate pawn takes. Do you take with the e pawn? Do you take with the f pawn? And after you take, you then have to consider all of those knight jumps yet again. That's why it's just so much work to calculate these pawn pushes like thoroughly and correctly. That sure, the computer will call it a blunder because it does it in a nanosecond with no effort. But it's still morning for me, so as far as I'm concerned, my move is perfectly fine. Knight g5? How's that supposed to work? Yeah, ridiculous moves. But you know what? Let's take a second and look at alternatives. f5 I was looking at, but after he takes, you push, because taking's not impressive. So you push. He hits the queen, queen goes somewhere. He opens the center. No, you don't want to do that. If you do push here and the knight hits the queen, queen stays active. You go here, f5. Oh yeah, same thing. Okay, so knight doesn't really want to go in the rim, but let's say it goes in the rim and you do a normal move. Here to create space for the knight. Kick the knight, knight goes back. Can't play f5, and this looks like those other positions. That's if the knight immediately moves. If he takes the pawn, it's natural to open your rook and bishop, so you take with the f pawn. His knight's hit. Assume he jumps into the center, which is the most normal move. Okay, so because of the open f file, this should have been an obvious decision for me. So I didn't want to calculate it, but how hard is it realistically? e5, right? If he takes, I take with the f pawn. I see quickly that I like my position. If I push and he doesn't take and he jumps into the center, well, then I jump my knight into the center and I can play c3, and it's still pretty obvious that it's good, but not so obvious that it's plus 3.1, right? Let's not get carried away. So anyway, we do our move. He pushes, and now it's extremely easy to calculate these pawn pushes, which is what I said when he did it. So we just kick the knight now that it's super easy. He jumps in the center, which is his best move, giving up material. And now I thought he might hunt the bishop, but he didn't. So, oh no, he did. Oh yeah, we move back, and we're plus 2.6. So that's a completely winning position. But here we managed to mess it up because, well, we don't mess it up. We keep the plus 2 advantage, but at this moment when he moves the rook, it's saying you can get even better plus 4 with b3 right now. So what did I play? Oh yeah, this is where I mouse slipped. No wonder. I'm like, yeah, of course you play b3. But I went back to the same square. So this isn't a blunder, this is a mouse slip. And he takes the pawn. And just to show you, even with this mouse slip, right, wasting turns and giving him the pawn, it's plus 3.3. So totally crushing. The queen side is more or less irrelevant in this case. As you can see, this f pawn is with the rook behind it, the bishop, the knight, the queen. It's going to be pushed up the board, and we're going to try to attack his king, which cannot castle queen side anymore. So if we look at the best move, it is f5. Okay, and I think you should play accurately as white to make sure you maintain this advantage of plus 3. He takes the pawn. I didn't really want to waste a turn recapturing, but your bishop's hit, so you kind of have to. We take the pawn, plus 5.5. He opens up his light square bishop. It's funny, I glanced at this for 1 second to see if deflecting the queen does anything, but I didn't see the move. But I guess e6 after that. And the queen's no longer in the defense, and they're saying you don't even need this bishop. It's funny that I looked at it, but I didn't take it serious. So the other moves you can play are e6, rook over, or knight in the attack. Knight in the attack seems just, it does open the rook, but it almost seems a little too like you don't want to do it yet, just yet. Whereas rook e1 seems like an obvious go-to move. e6. And if he takes, are we pinning or are we taking? We're pinning, yep. Okay, so what happened? We brought the rook in at plus 6. He takes the pawn. It's mate in 15, which I calculated, of course. We play e6. He pushes past, trying to close things up. And here, what did I say? I said both of these look winning. They're both mate in 7. It's funny because it said that this one was mate in 9. It took the computer a while to find the mate in 7. Okay, they're both mate in 7, so they're both equally good. But in hindsight, having gone down the game, bishop g6, go for this one. He goes here, takes, here, here, here. You have 2 checks, so you probably want to calculate a little and see which one. But I instinctively thought the left probably made more sense, blocking the diagonal. He had to go to one of these, and that's kind of where I stopped calculating to look at the alternative move. But assuming he goes here, we always have e7. So yeah, so it's not even a checkmate, which is why I didn't see one here. Wait, but if it's forced checkmate in 7, what did I mess up? Oh, you start with the bishop check. Oh yeah, because he can't run anywhere. Duh. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Change up the move order and so much easier. Um, so we didn't do that, which was way cooler. We did this, which is still mate in 6 and looks super strong. He takes, and now we mess up our mate in 6 because we go for this rook sack, which I didn't like at the end of it all, because of maybe king takes. But if we take here, the bishop's still pinned, and we add another attacker, and we're threatening the rook, and bishop g6. Ooh, that's such a like a calm. Well, I guess it hits a rook, so it's not so calm, but it's a good move for sure. The next best move. Okay, so if you take this pawn, it's mate in 6, which I don't even see forced mate in 6, but let's say here, he probably goes here. Oh god, with this, no wonder. I forgot all about this bishop this whole time. I've been using all the other pieces. Okay, so mate in 6 if you take here, and mate in 19 if you sack the rook. Second best move. So I found the second best move, sacking the rook for mate in 19. Okay, so he is supposed to take with the queen. I didn't even calculate king takes, but it's you get mated faster. Again, because of this diagonal check, which we always have in our pocket. But he takes with the queen. And now you could either pin the queen or take the rook. They're both force mate. We go for this force mate. I was looking at 95 check, but figured to just be simpler. Take a free rook. Trades, force moves. Intermezzo, free stuff with checkmate. The end. So, essentially, if we forget the mouse slip, essentially a perfect game against this dumb setup, except for that one opportunity to play an earlier e5. I waited for him to play d5 just because it makes life a lot easier. But if you really can understand, and see clearer, further, faster, you can do stuff like this. Anyway, I hope this helps. It's never wrong to maintain tension. You'll never be ruining your position. You may miss opportunities, but you'll never collapse your own position. Whereas an early pawn advance that's mistimed will and can collapse your position. So keep it in mind. Play smart. Good luck in your chess.